Imagine two people. Both are 25 years old. Both earn the same salary. Both live in the same city. And both start with exactly the same amount of money. Fast forward 20 years. One is financially free. The other is still living paycheck to paycheck. What happened? Was one smarter? Luckier? More talented? Not necessarily. Because wealth isn't built by one big decision. It's built by thousands of small decisions. And that's exactly what this video is about. Today, we're uncovering the wealth blueprint. The 10-step framework that has quietly created millions of self-made millionaires. But here's the interesting part. Most people know these steps. Almost nobody follows them. And the final step might be the reason most people never become wealthy. Stay until the end because each step builds on the previous one. And missing just one can destroy the entire blueprint. Step 1. Own your financial reality. Every great wealth journey begins with a simple question. Where is your money actually going? It sounds obvious. But most people don't know the answer. They know how much they earn. They know when payday arrives. But they have no idea how much disappears every month. Small purchases. Subscriptions. Impulse spending. Hidden expenses. Over time, these financial leaks quietly drain thousands of dollars. And because they happen little by little, most people never notice them. That's why the first step in the wealth blueprint is awareness. Because you can't improve what you refuse to measure. Think of a pilot flying through heavy fog. Without instruments. They're guessing. And guessing eventually leads to disaster. Your finances work the same way. If you're not tracking your income, expenses, savings, and investments, you're navigating blind. The wealthy don't guess. They measure. They know exactly how much comes in. Exactly how much goes out. And exactly where every dollar is working. Because money is like water. If you don't control its direction, it will find its own path. And usually, that path leads away from wealth. The moment you become aware of your financial reality, you gain something powerful. Control. And control is where wealth begins. Not with more income. Not with a lucky investment. But with complete clarity. Because before you can build wealth, you first need to know where you're standing. Step 2, pay yourself first. Most people follow the same financial pattern their entire lives. They get paid. They pay their bills. They buy what they want. And then they try to save whatever is left. The problem? There's usually very little left. Or nothing at all. That's why the wealthy use a completely different strategy. They pay themselves first. Before the bills. Before the shopping. Before the lifestyle upgrades. A portion of every dollar they earn goes directly toward their future. Into investments. Savings. Assets. Things that grow over time. Because they understand a powerful truth. If you don't make your future a priority, your present will consume everything. And here's the surprising part. It doesn't require a huge amount of money. The habit matters more than the amount. A person who consistently invests a small percentage of their income develops a system. And systems create results. Over time, what started as a small contribution becomes a growing financial engine. Not because of luck. Not because of a massive salary. But because they made one simple decision before spending a single dollar. They paid themselves first. The wealthy don't wait until they have money left over to invest. They invest first. And learn to live on the rest. Because wealth isn't built by what's left behind. It's built by what gets invested consistently. Step 3, master delayed gratification. This might be the hardest step in the entire wealth blueprint. Because it requires doing something most people struggle with. Waiting. We live in a world built around instant gratification. One-click purchases. Instant entertainment. Immediate rewards. Everything around us encourages us to want more. And want it now. But wealth operates by a different set of rules. Wealth rewards patience. The ability to sacrifice a small pleasure today for a much larger reward tomorrow. Think about it. Every dollar you spend has two possible futures. You can enjoy it today, or you can invest it and allow it to grow. Most people choose immediate satisfaction. Not because they're irresponsible, but because the future feels distant. The reward isn't visible yet. And that's where the wealthy think differently. They don't ask, "What do I want right now?" They ask, "What will I wish I had done 5 years from now?" That single question changes everything. Because every financial decision becomes a choice between your present self and your future self. The wealthy consistently choose the future. Not every time, but more often than most people. And over years, those choices compound into something extraordinary. Financial freedom. The ability to live life on your own terms. The truth is, wealth isn't built through one massive sacrifice. It's built through thousands of small decisions where future rewards are valued more than immediate pleasure. And that's a skill anyone can develop. Step 4, buy assets, not appearances. At this point in the wealth blueprint, you've learned how to track your money. Invest consistently, and think long-term. Now comes one of the biggest shifts in thinking. The difference between buying appearances and buying assets. Most people spend money to look successful. A bigger car. Designer brands. The latest gadgets. Things that impress people for a moment. But here's the problem. Most of these purchases do one thing. They take money out of your pocket. The wealthy think differently. Before buying something, they ask a simple question. Will this make me richer, or poorer? If it puts money into their pocket, it's an asset. If it takes money out, it's a liability. And that distinction changes everything. While others buy things that depreciate, the wealthy buy things that appreciate. Businesses. Investments. Real estate. Skills. Assets that continue producing value long after they're purchased. That's why many millionaires don't look rich in the beginning. They're not focused on appearance. They're focused on ownership. Because ownership creates income. Income buys freedom. And freedom creates choices. The truth is, anyone can look wealthy for a short period of time. But building real wealth requires discipline. The willingness to delay status today, so you can create financial freedom tomorrow. And over time, those assets begin working harder than you ever could. Step 5, invest in skills. Most people believe money is their greatest asset. But the truth is, your greatest asset is your ability to create value. Because money can be lost. Markets can crash. Businesses can fail. But skills stay with you. And the right skills can create wealth over and over again. Think about it. Every dollar you've ever earned came from one thing. The value you provided to someone else. The more valuable your skills become, the more opportunities begin to appear. That's why self-made millionaires are obsessed with learning. They read. They study. They practice. They invest in knowledge long before they see financial rewards. Because they understand a powerful principle. Skills increase income. Income fuels investments. Investments create wealth. And wealth creates freedom. It's a chain reaction. The person who continuously improves themselves gains an unfair advantage over time. While others spend years doing the same thing, they become more capable, more adaptable, more valuable. And eventually, the market rewards that value. The wealthiest people don't just invest in stocks. They invest in themselves. Because the highest return investment you'll ever make is becoming someone who can solve bigger problems. And bigger problems always carry bigger rewards. Step 6, think in decades. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to build wealth is because they're focused on the wrong timeline. Most people think in days. Some think in months. A few think in years. But the wealthy? They think in decades. They understand something that most people never realize. Small actions don't look powerful in the short term. But they become life-changing over long periods of time. A single investment won't make you rich. A single book won't transform your life. A single workout won't change your body. But repeat those actions consistently for 10 years. And the results become extraordinary. That's why wealthy people are patient. They don't need immediate proof that something is working. They trust the process. They understand that meaningful growth takes time. In fact, most people dramatically overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year. And underestimate what they can accomplish in 10. The problem is that we live in a world obsessed with speed. Everyone wants quick success. Quick money. Quick results. But wealth has never worked that way. The biggest fortunes in history weren't built in months. They were built through years of disciplined decisions repeated again and again. The wealthy don't ask, "How much can I make this month?" They ask, "Where will this decision put me 10 years from now?" And that's a completely different way of thinking. Because when you start thinking in decades, you stop chasing shortcuts. And start building foundations. Step 7, build multiple income streams. Most people rely on a single source of income. One job. One paycheck. One lifeline. And that's exactly what makes them vulnerable. Because if that income disappears, everything else can disappear with it. The wealthy understand a different principle. They don't build one stream. They build several. A paycheck. Investments. Businesses. Dividends. Rental income. Royalties. Each stream may start small. Almost insignificant. But together, they create something powerful. Security. Freedom. And options. Think of wealth like a river. The bigger the river, the harder it is to stop. Millionaires don't depend on one source. They create multiple channels flowing into the same destination. And over time, those small streams become an unstoppable force. That's when money stops depending entirely on your time. And starts working alongside you. Step 8, protect your wealth. Building wealth is difficult. Keeping it is even harder. Many people spend years creating financial success, only to lose it through bad decisions, unnecessary risks, or a lack of planning. The wealthy understand something most people overlook. Making money and protecting money are two completely different skills. That's why they focus on risk management. They diversify. They maintain emergency reserves. They avoid emotional financial decisions. And they never put everything into one opportunity. Because wealth isn't about how much you make. It's about how much you keep. History is filled with people who earned fortunes. And then lost them. Not because they lacked intelligence. But because they ignored protection. The goal isn't just to climb the mountain. The goal is to stay there. The higher your wealth grows, the more important protection becomes. Because one careless decision can destroy years of progress. And that's why the wealthy think like builders. But protect like guardians. Step 9, let compounding work. If there is one force that has created more millionaires than almost anything else, it's compounding. At first, compounding feels slow. Almost invisible. You invest. You save. You stay consistent. And for a while, it looks like nothing is happening. That's why most people quit too early. They expect dramatic results. But wealth doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows exponentially. The magic happens when your money starts earning money. And then that money starts earning money too. What began as a small investment becomes a larger investment. And that larger investment creates even more growth. Year after year. Without working longer hours. Without chasing the next opportunity. Just through patience and consistency. The wealthy understand that time is their greatest asset. Because every year they stay invested. The power of compounding grows stronger. And eventually, there comes a moment when the growth in a single year is greater than what they contributed themselves. That's when wealth starts accelerating. Not because they worked harder. But because they gave compounding enough time to work. Step 10, become the person who deserves wealth. After everything we've covered. Tracking your money. Investing consistently. Buying assets. Building income streams. And letting compounding work. We arrive at the most important step of all. Because wealth isn't just something you build. It's something you become capable of keeping. Most people think money changes people. But in reality, money reveals people. If someone lacks discipline before wealth, they'll likely lack discipline after wealth. If someone avoids responsibility before success, they'll struggle with it after success. That's why the wealthiest people focus on personal growth as much as financial growth. They invest in their mindset, their habits, their character, their ability to make better decisions under pressure. Because the truth is, your income can only grow to the level your skills allow. But your wealth can only grow to the level your character can handle. Think about it. A person who becomes more disciplined makes better financial decisions. A person who becomes more patient allows compounding to work. A person who becomes more valuable creates more opportunities. Everything starts with who you are becoming. That's why true wealth is never just about dollars. It's about transformation. The wealthy don't simply chase success. They become the type of person success naturally follows. And when you focus on becoming wiser, more disciplined, more valuable, wealth often becomes a byproduct. Because money follows value. Opportunities follow preparation. And success follows growth. In the end, the ultimate wealth blueprint isn't about building a fortune. It's about building yourself. Because the person you become determines the life you create. The wealth blueprint was never about money. It was about transformation. Track your money. Invest before spending. Master patience. Buy assets. Build skills. Think long-term. Create income streams. Protect what you build. Trust compounding. And become someone capable of handling wealth. Because financial freedom isn't a destination. It's the result of following a blueprint most people ignore. If you're committed to building real wealth, subscribe to Wealth Theory. And remember, the best time to start was years ago. The second best time is today.